And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Friday's flying weather graphic here showing IFR with the next system here pushing into the western Bering Sea to ADAC. Some more IFR here over the eastern Aleutians. VFR here off the southwest coast, and some lower conditions here in the interior with some IFR, especially over the Tanana Valley area. And some IFR just off the Arctic coast, but southern Alaska, south and east of the Alaska Range, VFR right on down to the coast, and Panhandle, good VFR holds. For the afternoon, nothing but VFR in the interior there from the Brooks Range southward to Kodiak Island, eastward to the Panhandle, and some marginal VFR out over the Bering Sea and along the coast here with IFR, Bristol Bay, and then that front pushing some IFR into Atka Island. But bulk of the IFR farther to the north now, almost up to St. Lawrence Island. And then for Saturday morning, that does spread over St. Lawrence Island. Some of that slipping through the Bering Strait there to the Chukchi Sea, but staying off the coast. Interior Alaska, good VFR from the Arctic coast down to the Kenai Peninsula and Prince William Sound. Kodiak Island as well. A couple of bands IFR here over the eastern Bering Sea. One right along the southwest coast, down to the north side of the Alaska Peninsula. Another one a little farther to the west there, becoming VFR, west of ADAC. And southeast coast stays VFR. And into the afternoon, looking good here for the southern Alaska area, east side, Panhandle, at least VFR through the first day of the weekend. And marginal VFR just south of the Kenai Peninsula, but covers Kodiak Island. And now this frontal system and the associated low farther to the north, making landfall of some IFR as well as precipitation here for the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta, western Seward Peninsula into the western Arctic coast, down to the Alaska Peninsula there. Marginal VFR spreading eastward into the Kuskokwim Valley, and that'll continue eastward slowly into the latter part of the weekend. And so looking at passes, Anatuvik and Adigan, looking at another VFR day tomorrow, or VFR day for both those passes tomorrow. Lake Clark and Merrill starting out marginal, becoming VFR. And rainy, same forecast, lower conditions in the morning, marginal VFR becoming VFR. And for windy, IFR becoming VFR. Isabel, same forecast, some IFR to start, VFR for much of the day, especially the afternoon to evening. Mentasta, IFR becoming VFR, but holding marginal there on the southern entrance. And for Tanita, VFR. Portage, VFR. Chilkoot and White, VFR. Freezing levels here, again, more Merrill Loft, still looking at pretty good gradient here right across Kenai Peninsula, Cook Inlet, anywhere from 4 to 8,000 feet, 8 to 10,000 feet here across Bristol Bay to the Alaska Peninsula area. And from there, going to icing, you can see nothing of any significance here over interior Alaska. But icing here with that next system and quite an area of considerable moderate rime icing pushing into the central and western Bering Sea, but staying north of the Aleutians, and then all the significant icing staying south of St. Matthew Island, but starting to bear down on the Pribilof Islands there. And for the jet stream, still looking at north to northwest flow here, pretty good right across the Yukon, down across the northern Panhandle there. And more of a west-northwest direction here over the central interior, up to 105 knots there over the Seward Peninsula, 70 knots out of the northwest of the Kenai Peninsula, high pressure loft holding just south of the Alaska Peninsula. And then to the west of that center, south flow up to 105 knots there, just north of the central Aleutians. And at 3,000 feet, this elevation, the high center more over Bristol Bay there, broad area of west-northwest flow here in the interior, up to 40 knots out of the west there for the southwest coast, even stronger here with the gradient between the high and the low pushing eastward here. So up to 65 knots there for the area just north of the central Aleutians. And for the southeast coast here, northerly flow up to 50 knots continues over the northern Panhandle with much lighter winds down to the south. 3,000 feet here, again, still have some areas of outflow winds up to 60 knots there for the northern southeast coast up toward Yakutat. and pretty light here over the interior areas. Gulf of Alaska, Kodiak Island with high pressure right in this area here. So that keeps the southerly flow there over the Bering Sea. Strongest winds here ahead of that next front coming eastward, 40 to 60 knots there. Again, mostly north of the Aleutians. Turbulence-wise, look for some moderate chop here for the central Aleutians, also for the far western areas out there. And moderate turbulence also here for the areas from about Yakutat on down the southeast coast.